All right, well, thank y'all for tuning the video this morning. I kind of wanted to give y'all the rundown on these BFG Km3s. Y'all know I'm usually like a Nitto or Toyo type person, but really on these BFGs, I was looking for a 37-1350. Y'all know I like that wide look. And, you know, usually when you get into a 37-1350, those tires start to get pretty heavy. And the issue is you know, you even look like at a Nitto Ridge grabber in a 37-1350. You know, you're getting almost a 90-91 pound tire. And so that's what made me start to kind of look at the BFG, because I wanted to see, you know, that 37-1350. I've seen a few photos of that tire on this truck, on the RHO or TRX, and they look really good on there. And they fit the stock wheels, you know, if you're with an 18. And I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and give them a try. And so I put them on the truck, and y'all, comparison noise wise, those all-terrains I had were pretty quiet when they were new, but once the truck got about 10,000 miles on it, those stock tires actually got pretty noisy. And now going to these KM3s, the noise is less than what those stock tires were. Now I know these are probably going to wear down and get noisier as they wear down, but I've got almost 1,700 miles on these tires so far, and y'all, I'm 65 down the highway, and I didn't do a mic, I didn't do noise canceling today because I truly wanted y'all to hear how quiet these are. But as far as the ride and the drive, I'm very impressed with them. I'm running probably 36 psi in them cold, and you know, they're just a little bit stiffer, but it's definitely not like when you go to a 37-1350 on a Super Duty, you notice how much stiffer that is. With the 18 and with 35 psi, it's hardly any difference. And like right now, I'm gonna set my cruise real quick. Yeah, right now I'm running, so my speedometer is off about 5 or 6. And what I will say on the RHO is once it gets up to about 75, 76, it'll shift to 8th gear, but your speedometer is only showing like 69 to 70. And so I think it's more software. It doesn't really shift back down to 7th on the highway unless you're going up a pretty good incline. Then you will notice it'll shift back to 7th. But the stock tires did that a little bit also. So it's not bad. It's not sitting there shifting back and forth. Like right now I'm in 8th gear, going up a little hill. It's holding at 1900 RPM. Everything's doing fine at 75 miles an hour. But you know, you look at this tire, and I think this tire was close to 80 pounds, 79 to 80 pounds, and that's one of the reasons in a 37-1350, if you're looking for that lighter tire. And y'all know, you know, even if I would have went with like a Nitto Ridge grabber, I would have added 40 more pounds of rolling weight. That's 10 pounds per corner, you know. And if you go from a stock tire, that would be almost 16 pounds per corner. And on the diesels, it doesn't matter as much because, you know, you've got the torque. The diesels are pretty efficient. Not a big deal. You do feel it a little bit in your acceleration and braking, you know, when you go to that large of a tire. But I am beyond impressed on pretty much maintaining my stock ride, my stock handling, and the hands-free driving and everything with these 37s with this RHO. Everything works perfectly. Went to Houston the other day. Was going down I-10, and it was just driving straight as an arrow down the road, hands-free driving, just like it does with the stock tire. So, you know, I feel like I'm actually, like I said, impressed with how quiet these are. They have a little bit of road noise. You get a little bit of a hum, but y'all, you can hear that. That's not for 75 down the highway with a mud terrain. In comparison to every other mud terrain I've had, I'm going to exclude the mud grapplers because that's a league of its own. But I'm talking about like your Toyo MT, your Nitto Trail, all of those other tires. This is quieter than the Nitto Trail. This is quieter than the Toyo MT by far. So these are really well-mannered tires. I'm adding them to my favorite selection, and I'm pretty sure these are going to be the same tires. I'm going to pull these off when my TRX comes in. I'm putting these same exact tires on my TRX. I just love the look of them. I love how they handle. They do really well. Now we'll talk about the difference of the stock all-terrain versus these mud terrains. You know, one thing that is a little bit different is those stock all-terrains, you know, they have a higher speed rating. You've got like a 115, where I think these have like a 98, 99, something like that. The stock all-terrains, if you're going to do, you know, any driving above 88 to 90, they do feel better, right? Those tires are designed for that higher speed. You know, these are mud terrains. It's not that they're horrible, but if you're pushing, you know, 80, 90 miles an hour, you know it, right? You got your hands on the wheel and you're paying a little bit more attention. You know, you're having to basically, if you're running those stock tires, it's like you look down and you're like, oh, I'm going too fast, right? Because those tires just, I mean, they're on rails at a higher speed. So I think that's the only difference. And I didn't see anything that, you know, when I was looking to put the 37s on the RHO TRX, there's a lot of posts in the groups and the forums about it, but not like the truck performance, how it changes, you know, what you feel that's different. Some people don't care. You know, some people go put a 95-pound tire and a 20-pound wheel on there, you know, extra 20-pound wheel, so, you know, like a 42-pound wheel, something like that. And, you know, the braking and acceleration is significantly impacted. You know, this, yeah, it's still pretty good. I hardly notice it. That's one thing I didn't want to take away from this truck, because that's the reason I love this truck so much, is because of how it drives. And so I wanted to be sure that I didn't take away from that hardly at all, right? And so gave up a little bit of that, but not much. I mean, this is, in comparison, still one of the best driving trucks with the 37s on it that I've owned. So anyway, I hope that helps. I know I rambled on a little bit this morning, but I hope it helps you with your selection. And if the video did help you at all, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.